Good morning. How's it going? How's the journey, right? We're not after destinations, are we? Are we? Yes, it is about journeying. And journeying has a lot of ingredients that are required to be able to achieve goals and dreams, all leading into versions of happiness and freedom. Yes. And one of those happens to be trust. You know, myself and Team Perka have gone through quite a few stages in the process of building this trust on a personal and a team-wide level. The early years were a lot about I's, I am doing this, I need to do this. And we did this all individually, albeit together, but there was a lot of I's. And then we kind of converted it into me's, a very slight difference where the I is more egotistical and me is just a touch less egotistical, but it's still not quite inclusive, if you will. And then we finally discovered a we factor, and that I give credit to Sir Richard Branson, who gave credit to his we factor that he built in as his culture with his businesses, the Virgin companies that he's grown with. And so we kind of adapted into that in those years of transition post my dad, who was the main I man on the team. And that was working. It was more inclusive. We had some we going on, but there was still something missing. I felt that there was more that we could do. So we kind of evolved it into an us factor, where us kind of included not only we, the team, but us and our teammates, us and our supporters, our families and such. So it was a little more broad in terms of who can help us grow and achieve. Because if we don't have our support team with us, it's hard for us to even act and perform on an individual basis. And then, as we were thinking and contemplating us as a group, what was missing at times was a certain knowing that we had each other's sixes, so to speak. So we kind of built upon that, and that evolved into what we call now a trust factor, which includes the word us, right? But it has to have an element of trusting each other so that we know we can do our very best, even if we mess up. Nobody's going to judge us or shame us, but will actually maybe even cover for us to help us, not to cover to be able to enable us, but to lift us so that we can get back on our feet, so to speak, and get back to being our best version. Now, the kicker with trust, which is vital for any relationships, husband, wife, families, teams, church, and all that. There's got to be a trust element. It is paradoxically very strong when you have it, but very weak and vulnerable to lose it. It can be lost in literally a second, even though it might have taken you months, years to build. And it's always a building process. So how do we get around that? And it does require this building first. There has to have that when you start brand new, two people, two organizations, whatever. You kind of have the trust intention, but you got to still build it. You got to grow it. You got to make it stronger, right? And then there's where you're going to bring in some other ingredients that are going to help support it from not falling apart, like non-judgment. No shame, no blame, right? We just said that. And it's like whoever has never sinned can throw the first rock, right? And none of us have ever not sinned. So therefore, we have to be open to non-judgment and giving grace and giving the benefit of the doubt. And once we can do that, we have to also surrender to a divine order, a faith in that there is a process for each and every one of us to go through, and that we can help each other get through it, get to the other side, to overcome that loss of trace, the mistake, the whatever we do or did that caused us to lose that faith and trust in each other. And then when we can do that with truth, we develop a safety net, a safe place for any of us to be our best. Even if we make a mistake, even if we muff up, we know that we're safe to get through it and then get better as we go through it. So we must cherish and nurture all of our relationships with this trust factor, because it becomes the difference between being peace-filled and happy and literally stressed and sad because we take the mistake as is for granted with no grace. So it's something to think about because we are and must be building upon a trust factor within our network here so that we can then deliver the best that we can be, the best that we can do with and for each other, and the best that we can have resources and teammates and support so that we can give it towards the key element of happiness, peace, freedom, and abundance too. What do you think? That is a mouthful, I know. Maybe listen to this again. And if you haven't listened to last week's, do listen to it too, because it builds. And a lot of these build upon each other. Please, you have to listen to these to be able to at least join in to this trust factor of our team who is trying to grow together so that it's easier for all of us. Right? What do you think? Can we do this? Have yourself a fantastic day. Keep smiling, keep trusting, keep believing, because we can and will prevail and overcome all of our challenges if we can really do it together. Cheers and ciao.